All right. Today, I wanted to take a look at something that is presently going on, and we're going to talk about the Colorado Supreme Court ruling on disqualifying President Donald Trump. We're going to take a look at an article from MSNBC by a so called Republican strategist, Susan Del Porcio. Yes, because there are so many Republicans that are working over at MSNBC. Anyway, let's begin. Tuesday's ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court that former President Donald Trump is disqualified from holding the presidency under the U.S. Constitution's insurrection clause immediately turned the legal and political world upside down. A little bit later in this article, she continues on and says that the argument is half right. After all, Trump's support among his followers hasn't fallen off, and it has even grown despite the announcement of 4 criminal indictments with 91 separate charges, all of which have not stuck. A recent New York Times and Siena College poll even shows Trump beating President Biden 46 to 44% among registered voters, though that 2% gap is within the margin of error. And I just want to pause right here and comment on this. Two things. Number one, normally when it comes to polls, something that we all have to understand is that polls that are usually given by Democrats are there to shape public opinion, not to reflect public opinion. And number two, just looking at this right here, why are they so bent on getting rid of Donald Trump? Number one, if they do that, they're disenfranchising voters, Republican voters to be exact. If we were to do this in any other state against a Democratic nominee or an incumbent president such as not Donald Trump but Biden, and if we were to do exactly what the Democrats are doing in a Republican state, my goodness, could you imagine all hell would break loose if we were to do that against the Democrats? This is just showing that they are terrified. They are terrified of Donald Trump, which I would be more than happy to see a returning Donald Trump into the to the White House. Number one, he would not care. I mean, could you imagine that? Him not caring, just going into the White House and stirring all sorts of trouble for the Democrats because he doesn't have to get reelected. That wouldn't be on his mind during this time. And I think that that would be a beautiful, beautiful thing to see so many of them cry and whine and moan as he begins to tear their agenda apart piece by piece. And number two, you know that this is just simply a power grab by the Democrats, that they are trying so desperately to hang on to power because the truth is that nobody votes for them. I mean, they might have they might have their their normal base, but they know it's not strong. Have you? Everybody saw those the crowds that were gathered for Biden, back in 2020, and the crowd. I mean, that's even when he would campaign, because remember he was in his basement 99% of the time, but when he was out on the trail, he had anemic, weak crowds compared to Donald Trump, who was pulling in thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and they know it. They know it, and you know it, and I know it, and they are terrified to see what a Donald Trump would do to them were the election being held today. But I mean, this number right here, where it says that Trump is beating President Biden 46 to 44% among registered voters, even though that 2% gap is within a margin of error, that is terrifying to them. That is terrifying to them. And I will come back to that point in just a little bit. But let's continue on. As we have seen time and time again, the voters that supported Trump in 2016 and 2020 are immovable. It isn't so much that the Colorado ruling is good for Trump, it just doesn't hurt him. And now listen to this other part. Biden, on the other hand, appears to be losing ground among his core supporters, including Hispanic, Black, and young Americans. This irritates me so much. Especially, and I don't like to throw out this card that, oh, as a Mexican American, I don't like saying anything like that. I really, really don't. I think that is an overplayed card. I think it is a stupid card to play. It's something that I feel is more divisive than anything else, because at the end of the day, we should all just be Americans. But going back to this, because they're lumping somebody like me within this group of including Hispanic, Black, and young Americans, just saying that just because we fall into these demographics that we're automatically going to vote for that geriatric in chief that is currently in office right now. And to me, that is highly insulting, because I think anybody with half a brain should know that that is not the guy, that nobody wants him in office. His Bidenomics is not working. And you know what? The Democrats, they know that. They know that. Even when they come on to, MSNBC and CNN and all those other fake news and drive-by media outlets, they know at the end of the day that nobody believes that Bidenomics is working. Everybody knows that the gas is going up. Everybody knows that that electricity is going up. Everybody knows that your food is going up. Everybody knows that, oh my goodness, that your rent is soaring. Nobody wants to buy a car. Nobody wants to buy a house right now because everything is just out of control. The interest rates are out of control. And so she finishes this article by saying, so what message can unite the disappointed left and the aggravated right-leaning voters? Democracy. It worked in 2018, 2020, and 2022, and it could work again in 2024. Yes, because I'm sure that in 2020 that we had the most safe and secure election ever, right? Right, just like how they would shut down the the voting centers, and all of a sudden Biden would just spike in the polls. But hey, I'm just saying that's completely normal, right? That's completely normal. But whatever the Supreme Court rules, the decision will tear this country apart. If Trump is allowed to be on the ballot in Colorado, half the country will be outraged. If Trump is barred from being on the ballot, the other half of the country will be irate. Yes, and who is the one who put the country into this position? Who is the one? Because I can tell you this, it wasn't the Republicans that barred Donald Trump from getting onto that ballot. It was you, the Democrats. Either way, millions of Americans will view this decision as an attack on democracy. And you know what? With that, I can agree. Because no matter how it's going to be viewed, the people who believe in the lies that are spewed by the drive-by media, they are, of course, going to believe that this was an attack on democracy if Trump is allowed back onto the ballot. And us, who actually have a brain and understand where the 14th Amendment stands and why it was given, which I will get into in just a little bit, will understand that this is an attack on democracy because they are perverting the meaning of the 14th Amendment to satisfy their own political gains, because they're scared, because they know that they do not have a chance against Trump in a free and fair election. And I think that this right here, this number of 46 to 44% is terrifying to them. Now, let's take a look at the 14th Amendment, particularly Article 3 is what they are citing, where it says that no person shall be called a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But the Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. I want to be crystal clear on this because the 14th Amendment was passed in June 8th of 1866. This was over a year after the end of, what is it? The Civil War. Civil War ended on April 9th, 1865. The 14th Amendment, when you look at everything of all the provisions, all the sections of the 14th and the 15th Amendment, and even into the 13th Amendment, excuse me, I should say the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment, we all have to look at it within the contextualization of history. This has to do with the Civil War. This insurrection that they were talking about is dealing with the Confederacy. Period. There is no other explanation to this other than this dealing with the Confederacy. This is dealing with the Confederate Army, those officers, those people that were that had thrown the insurrection against Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party and the Union during this time in the from 1861 through 1865. And this is what the 14th Amendment was dealing with. In fact, we could even look into Section 4, which will shed a little bit more light onto that, where it says, the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including the debts incurred for payments of pensions and bounties and services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. So when these soldiers were going to go and say, hey, I worked for the Union Army during this time, I deserve my payment, I deserve this. They gave Section 4 as this provision for these soldiers to go and be able to collect this money, the payment of pensions and bounties for their services of serving in the Union Army to suppress the insurrection of the Confederacy. Now, when we look at this is specifically dealing with the Confederate, with putting down the Confederate Army. Now, I do want to add this, though. If we were to play these games as the Democrats play, where it says that shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof, then my question is if we wanted to play this 14th Amendment game with the Section 3 here with the Democrats as well, of using their own tactics against them, then why on earth is Biden allowed to hold the office? Why is he allowed to do something like that? Because he's totally in bed with China. He's right there. He's given aid to them. He's making deals with China. He's making. We could look at the thing that we're not supposed to talk about, the laptop from what people have dubbed the laptop from hell for the Bidens anyway, of all the foreign deals that have been made with Ukraine and with Russia and with the Chinese. That's all going back to the Biden crime family. And if you want to look at everything of what this section, remember, according to how the Democrats want to interpret this, is that they are the ones that are giving comfort to our enemies. They are the ones that are engaging in insurrection with our enemies against this country, not the other way around. Now, that's not to say that there are no Republicans who have ever done something like that. But as far as this goes, Donald Trump is not the one who is engaged in anything like that. Over and over and over. Throughout his presidency from 2015 all the way to 2023, from the time that he decided to run for office to the time that he was in office, and now that he's gearing up to run for office again, that he's been in litigation after litigation, he's been in trial after trial, and over and over and over again, we've seen that Donald Trump has been vindicated. He's that none of these accusations have stuck to him, and because if it did, believe me, that they would have had him thrown out a long time ago if any of these accusations would have stuck. So now this goes back to this question of Donald Trump beating President Biden from 46% to 44%. You know that this is terrifying, and I'll tell you why. Because other than Biden, who do the Democrats have to run against Trump? Who? It's not Kamala. I mean, in fact, my question is, where is Kamala? Never before have we seen a vice president that has made so little face time, so little of an impact as Kamala Harris. Because every time she opens her mouth, dumb comes out. There is nothing of meaning. There is nothing of value. There is nothing that anybody can take seriously of anything that woman says. I mean, look at what she said before. You could pull it up on YouTube where she talks about the significance of the passage of time. Now, let me tell you about the significance of the passage of time. It's significant. This was at a legitimate press conference that she had, talking about the significance of the passage of time. Nothing of substance comes out of her mouth. So who do they have? They have Kamala Harris. They're not going to run with her. Otherwise, why not invoke the 25th Amendment, get Biden out of there, and put her in office? Why? Because nothing but stupidity comes out of her mouth. Who else do they have? Fetterman. But don't make me laugh. AOC. No, I'm trying to not be, just horribly mean. I mean, but each one of these people, they're not good. They're not good for the face of the Democratic Party, and the Democrats know that. Even what would be considered their golden boy, Gavin Newsom, he went on a debate against DeSantis, and when he came back, his own state began to lower his ratings in the polls. So not even they were impressed with how Gavin Newsom was stacking up against an arguably weaker candidate of DeSantis, and I mean that in terms of DeSantis versus Trump. Not that DeSantis is weak against the Democrats in any way. Okay, so if you guys really like him, that hey, more power to you. Honestly, for me, I'm gonna vote for the person, for the Republican candidate. Whoever makes it past the primaries, that's who I'm gonna support. But going on beyond all that, just looking at the Democrats, we have to ask ourselves, who do they have in their corner that can even stand up against Donald Trump? And I got to tell you guys, nobody's coming to my mind. Not one person. That's not to say that none of them are going to pose, a difficulty of overcoming, because of all those, all the. I'm trying to be careful. Okay, I'm trying to be careful with what I say before, some of our tech overlords get angry, and then I'm trying to grow the channel. But the point is, when it comes to these, to the polls and everything, that are reflected, that they've got to be scared. I laugh because they take these polls seriously. I don't take them seriously because I am of the opinion that they are there to shape public opinion, not to reflect public opinion. However, I guess when you are are living in your life for so long that all these lies become, truth to you. But that's my opinion. But anyway, I'll pose this question again. Who do the Democrats have in their corner that you think would be able to stand a chance against Trump? I really can't think of one right now. All their contenders, all their supposed heavy hitters, I don't see them. I really don't see them. Because if they did, then I think that we might be able to see more people trying to make a name for themselves within the Democrat Party. But I really don't see anybody. They have to hold on to a guy that can barely form any sentences or make any coherent statements. And I don't know, maybe I'll leave one of those incoherent ramblings for you at the end. But that's really, I don't really see anybody who would be able to stand a chance, honestly, against Trump. And I think that this, more than anything, is really going back to the root of why they are terrified of Donald J. Trump. Because they know that they don't stand a chance against him. And so in order to beat him, they can't do it in a fair fight. They have to do it by disenfranchising the voters in Colorado. And believe me, if this wasn't going to make such a political stink, they would try to do it in all the other states as much as they possibly could, because they don't want to have a fair election. But you let me know what you think down in the comments below. I know this was a surprise video, but I don't know. Maybe I'll leave you with this incoherent rambling of our geriatric in chief. You guys have a good one, and I hope you have a happy New Year.
But we know this year's Hanukkah is different. It's been 65 years since the deadliest day of the Jewish people since the Holocaust. 65 years.
And here is the president earlier this year speaking about the government's commitment to infrastructure.
Over $1.3 trillion.
And here he is talking about the benefits of catching a train.
And all the studies show, by the way, people get from point A to point B faster on a train than their car. They take the train.